You're probably familiar with the word holiness, but do you really know what it means? And maybe more importantly, are you willing to radically remove things from your life that are keeping you from holiness? The Bible is a book with a lot to say about sin and forgiveness. It acknowledges the deep brokenness and the darkness of this world and in our own individual lives. But it is only by understanding the darkness of human sin that we can understand the remarkable power and light of God's forgiveness. In forgiveness, we learn the true cost of sin and the call to live a holy life. We learn to receive forgiveness, put off sin, and show forgiveness to those who have sinned against us. We learn to pursue true holiness, even in the midst of a broken world. The ancient Temple of Israel was considered a holy place. The instruments and furniture inside were considered holy too. We understand why temples and sacred spaces are consecrated as holy, but the Bible calls for each of us to be holy as well. When Jesus came into the temple, he sensed that some of its holiness had been lost. It had been obscured. Everywhere there were merchants selling animals and exchanging money. Jesus, usually reserved in his action, didn't hesitate. He began to turn over their tables and drive them out of the temple. Jesus explained, "The scriptures declare my temple will be called a house of prayer for all nations." To really understand what had Jesus upset, you need to understand the definition of holiness. For something to be holy, it must be set apart. A holy place or object is not holy by its value or construction. It has been made holy by its purpose. It had been set apart for a specific purpose, to serve God. What Jesus recognized was that the temple's purpose had been obscured. It was no longer being set apart exclusively for its intended use. So Jesus purified the temple. He highlighted its purpose and restored its holiness. When the Bible calls us to be holy as God's people, it intends for us to understand that same distinction. You are holy because you have been given a calling, a purpose. Your holiness is your willingness to be set apart from this world and to live towards obedience to God, not to the world. But we can lose our holiness as well. We can lose our purpose. We can forget that we are called to be set apart, and we can slip into imitations of the world's brokenness. Jesus came into the temple to restore its purpose, but Jesus has also come to restore ours. He saves us from sin, but he also calls us to follow him. He calls us to recognize that through his death, he has given us a new way of living, a new calling, a new holy purpose. We too have been set apart, bought by Jesus' death. It's not easy to live set apart, willing to be different. After Jesus had cleared the temple, the religious leaders deepened their resolve to kill him. To live differently in this world is to threaten the way this world works and the way it accumulates power. Living set apart is always a risk. Live differently, and it will cost you something. To live a holy life means being willing to radically remove the things which are displeasing to God, the things robbing you of your real purpose and identity. Are you paying attention to your holiness, to the set apart way of living for God? Are you protecting what is holy in your life? Does holiness matter to you? Or like the temple, has your life filled up with the commotion and busyness of this world? Are you willing to remove the things holding you back? Are you willing to live holy?